Hi folks, Herb Stevenson. There's been a lot of questions about the pain body, so I thought I would do a brief video on this that would be useful for you to understand how it works. A little bit of background. Pain body is a concept that I believe Eckhart Tolle put together. Oftentimes in the Healing Den, we talk about it as the pain body or the fear body. One throws you into trauma, the other throws you into fear. Either way, it's a process where we're actually absent to ourselves. And so I wanted to share with you what I think would be something useful to help you to understand it. So the pain body is a collection of frozen moments, often filled with explosive emotions and possibly traumatic energies that were experienced and never released. In other words, they're literally frozen. We often refer to them as time crystals. The pain body wants us to feel helpless until we find the courage to release the energies, which is paradoxical to most people. It has, if you look under Jungian psychology, a pain body is like a guardian. It's a self-protected energy, emotional energies around a traumatic event or something with explosive emotions that was bigger than we could cope with. So the pain body, when we activate it, is, in a certain respect, is of a trigger. Something happens in the present moment, pulls us into the past. We lose our presence in the moment, and then we become a victim to that pain body, and we get traumatized in whatever other parts of our trauma trance that occurs. So the issue to remember is it's an aspect of ourself that's not been integrated. It's frozen moments with explosive emotions and possibly traumatic energies. And if you hold that as a concept, I think this will help you as we move forward. So pain bodies are an interesting thing. It creates emotional reactions can act like inebriants that take you away from reality. In other words, presence takes you towards reality, and absence, which is a reactivity, takes you away from reality. And so the impact of understanding the pain body, it is an emotional reaction, and it literally becomes like an inebriant or an intoxication aspect of ourself that pulls us out of our day-to-day moment, our presence, our capacity to be who we are. And it's a really important idea because then it becomes like an addictive behavior. So unconsciously, we become intoxicated by ignorance, anger, and attachment to the past and suffer as a result. Now you can sit down and say, well, when I drink alcohol and I'm intoxicated, I don't necessarily feel all those things. When you become intoxicated, you're not present. You're not fully who you are in this moment, is the point that I'm trying to make. And it actually becomes like an addictive behavior in the sense of our reaction is automatic and we go directly to it and we feel like we have no choice. That way, it's like an addictive behavior. So attachments are self-created. So the pain body is attached to suffering while preventing you from thriving in the present moment until you become present to yourself. We've talked about this in other videos where if you're fully present, the past has no power over you, and nor does the future. So idealism or living off of old memories or patterns isn't possible, but the pain body is very much that way. It's like an attachment, and it was self-created. We froze something in us in our past that we were incapable of moving forward with. So when you think about it, the pain body is attached to the suffering. On the other side of it, presence is attached to being fully alive in the moment, which when we face a traumatic event, fully present in the moment, which means we have the courage to stay fully present, the impact of it is oftentimes the pain body start dissolving. It does no longer controls us like an addiction. So emotional attachments are triggers. So emotional attachments supporting the pain body makes us believe that triggers are done unto us, when in truth, we pull the trigger for igniting the pain body and cause our own suffering. So this is a place where it gets really crazy. We feel totally disempowered when the pain body enacts itself. And so our emotional reactions, those patterns that we have learned to go into, it feels like it's being done to us. But what's being done to us, it's taking our presence away, and we, following the patterns that we created in the past, leads us into the pain body and then our return to suffering. And in essence, one of the ways of looking at it is we are either afraid of being present or we have lost our way of how to stay present in the moment. I often refer to this as developing the witness. The witness sees that we're starting to be pulled into the past and is able to muster the courage to stay present and see what happens. And oftentimes the connection to the pain body is released. But the real issue is in the present moment is the only thing that's actually real. And the more we learn that, and the more we are to witness ourselves about staying fully present to the moment, the more the capacity to not only stay present, but not be attached to the pain body. So emotional triggers separate us from the present moment and our individual point of power. And as a result, we come enmeshed in the past, which is where the pain, agony, and distress of our lives resides in frozen moments, seeking to be thawed and returned to the present moment as an integrated memory. And so, again, we look at something, and instead of it being true in the moment, what we end up finding out is we have pulled ourselves out of the present moment and moved into the past, even though it feels like we're still present. So building presence by self-witnessing is the ability to stay fully present can be developed by learning to witness yourself instead of spontaneously reacting. It's a repetition of what I just said, but the point is when we can witness ourselves feel something beginning to happen, we develop the capacity and the presence to stay in the moment. And when we stay in the moment, what ends up happening is whatever is trying to pull us out loses its control of us. I don't want to call it power. I want to call it control because it's more of a controlling energy than it is a power energy. Power for me is presence. So doubt is another one. It undermines self-witnessing. So often doubt and fear support suffering that undermines witnessing so that the pain body can be fed. And it's again, one of those processes when we think about it is we realize we have vacated ourself when we go into these places of either doubt or fear, because psychological fear was a construct that mankind has built originally before we had as much consciousness and awareness as we do now. Fear was danger related, and doubt was an instinct that said don't go this way and go this way. And we began to, do we trust those instincts or do we trust doubt and fear? And at least in terms of being fully present. So witnessing is the ability to stay present to oneself while realizing that old patterns and themes are old stories that can be revised or discarded. So the more we develop that capacity to witness, the more presence we have, and we begin to actually see how we have created all of our stories that are impacting us. Some examples: when the pain body is ignited, one tends to leave all capacity to stay present, thereby becoming a helpless victim lost in the past that needs saved. Common processes are to recreate stressful internal stories from the past and use them as an excuse for not being present. I've had different situations where supporting people to learn to be present and to develop a witness, they might have an example and start talking about, well, I was triggered, and a memory they didn't refer to that way. They referred to it in the room was the exact thing that happened to me so many years ago. And I had said, well, what if it's not in the room? What if it's 30 years ago? And what's in the room is you, me, and whoever else is in this room. And if we can feel our body and return to sensations in our body being present, at least from an embodied point of view, I wonder what happens. And oftentimes there'll be a complete visceral change in their body structure and a realization that they now have moved out of the trance and have moved back into the present situation. Other times that we have trouble because the society has built a lot of contradictory ways that we're supposed to be good people. Caretakers, oftentimes, instead of focusing on presence and soothing their own need to be useful, unknowingly seek people who might be in their pain bodies so that they can support and, in essence, save them. This creates a pattern for staying in the pain body instead of becoming and staying fully present for both persons. So I've had people, become aware and witness themselves is, well, I'm supposed to do that. I'm the caretaker. And slowly help them unravel is, no, not necessarily the caretaker. And, but what if you're, as a caretaker, you're supposed to take care of yourself first and foremost by staying present and see how that shifts how you support other people in caring for them. And oftentimes they move out of a role or a process that they have been taught through their family, culture, whatever, and begin to realize that they do not have to be, quote unquote, the caretaker. And instead, by supporting other people instead of caring for them through sympathy and other processes, but by being present and just simply listening to them, the impact of it is that the person begins to rise up out of, instead of a place of expectations that you're supposed to take care of me and I'm helpless, etc. It changes the entire dynamic. Obviously, there's a lot of psychological aspects to that, and if it's very deep-seated, you should be getting therapy. But we've had people just sit and feel what it feels like if they just take care of themselves and let go of all of the rules that said I am and have to be this, and they begin to shift. And that's just being present. So presence is the only reality, is the present moment, and therefore is recognized as the only point or source of individual power. We confuse force by doing things and acting on things, but power itself is actually presence. In the present moment, I fully experience, a phrase that I like to say, the presence of what is present, including myself. So power is presence in the moment. It enables the ability to dissolve attachments to the pain body. We create our reality each moment based on the fictional past and future or the actual present moment. And that last statement is really important for us when we begin to realize it. We create our reality each moment based on the fictional past and future or the actual present moment. When we understand the past and future is purely fiction, and the only thing that's real is right now, it begins to shift our entire understanding of ourselves and the world around us. So presence requires the courage and commitment to let go of the stories from the past that constantly enable a pain body to keep you from your true self. So it is a matter of courage and commitment to let go of the stories from the past that constantly enable the pain body to keep you from your true self. As we begin to absorb that and realize we do have choice and we do have power, if we are able to muster the courage to be present, we begin to shift everything in our lives. So presence is the choice to be present and to create the capacity to stay in the present moment. Absence is the choice to allow the pain body to convince you that you are helpless and a victim. Understanding those distinctions and beginning to allow them to be integrated into who you are begins to shift your whole capacity just simply to be who you are, or as I like to say, be more fully who you are by living in the present moment. So I like this quote from Gail Brenner: people pleasing, needing to be right, holding a grudge, defensiveness, caretaking, or saving others in emotional distress are signs of unexamined and conditioned patterns that are ripe for liberation. It's not a list of saying this is a diagnostic process, but what it's saying is if you have these tendencies, you might want to look at them. Is this is something that's still true for me? Is it a pattern that I wish to hold on to, or is it something I wish to rewrite and change so that I can more fully be who I am. I like this quote, this picture. I think it kind of really says the whole thing about presence. Healing doesn't mean the damage never existed. It means the damage no longer controls our lives. When we have that shift in focus and begin to realize we are self-creating beings, and everything that we create is in the moment. So if we have repetitive beliefs and reactions, then we are creating that in our life, and it often is out of the damage. And instead, we realize the damage is over. It's already been gone, and we have the capacity to move past it. We begin to shift into a more positive light. So the question is, what do you decide to be at each moment? It's strange because what often has happened is we have been so, I guess I'd say, trained or led to believe that we are in one respect a victim of our past, but what it really is saying is, through all the creative adjustments that you have made around your life, this is who you've become. If it's not what you want, then what are you willing to do to change that? One way is to be fully present in each moment and to witness yourself and to begin to unravel the various adjustments that you made that helped you make meaning, to help you survive, potentially thrive, but look at it from a different point of view as a state of being and instead of a state of doing. And once you do that, it begins to shift and the pain body no longer has such a strong hold on you. So I appreciate your time, your attention, and I wish you well. And hopefully this has been useful for you. Thanks much.